Today I stand before you not just to speak, but to ignite something in you, because I believe deep in my bones that you were not born to settle. You were born to rise. I want you to say this with me. I was born to rise. Say it again, like your life depends on it, because maybe it does. Now let me tell you something. Life will test you. Life will push you. Life will whisper in your ear, you're not good enough. You don't have what it takes. And sometimes life will shout it through the mouths of people you love, people you trust, people who gave up on their dreams a long time ago. But hear me, just because life knocks you down doesn't mean you stay there. You don't stay on your knees unless you're praying. You don't stay on the floor unless you're choosing to surrender. And you weren't born to surrender. You were born to rise. Let me take you back for a minute. There was a time I didn't believe I was worthy of rising. I looked in the mirror and saw limitations. I saw rejection. I saw failure. I saw someone who didn't come from much, who didn't have much, and I believed that meant I wouldn't become much. But hear me, where you come from does not determine where you're going. The zip code on your birth certificate is not a life sentence. The opinions of others are not your destiny. I had to learn the hard way that pain is not punishment, it's preparation. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Some of you have been through some stuff. You've been lied to, left behind, looked over. You failed. You've fallen. You've been broken so badly, you don't even remember what whole felt like. But I came here to tell you, listen to me. There's greatness in you. There's fire in your soul. There's brilliance in your mind. There's courage in your heart. But sometimes life buries it under disappointment, under bills, under heartbreak, under fear. But just because something is buried doesn't mean it's dead. You're not dead. You're dormant. You're not broken. You're becoming. And today, I'm speaking to that seed inside you, that part of you that still believes, even after everything you've been through, that voice that whispers, there's more, because there is more. You were born to rise from failure. You were born to rise above fear. You were born to rise beyond doubt. You were born to rise beyond doubt. You were born to rise into your calling, your mission, your miracle. But let me be real. It's not easy. Rising means climbing. Rising means sacrifice. Rising means doing the work no one sees while everyone else sleeps. It means ignoring the noise, pushing past the pain, and getting up one more time. Listen to me. There's greatness in you. There's fire in your soul. There's brilliance in your mind. There's courage in your heart. But sometimes life buries it under disappointment, under bills, under heartbreak, under fear. But just because something is buried doesn't mean it's dead. You're not dead. You're dormant. You're not broken. You're becoming. And today, I'm speaking to that seed inside you, that part of you that still believes, even after everything you've been through, that voice that whispers, there's more, because there is more. You were born to rise from failure. You were born to rise above fear. You were born to rise beyond doubt. You were born to rise beyond doubt. You were born to rise into your calling, your mission, your miracle. But let me be real. It's not easy. Rising means climbing. Rising means sacrifice. Rising means doing the work no one sees while everyone else sleeps. It means ignoring the noise, pushing past the pain and getting up one more time, to rise above your past, to rise through your pain, to rise into the life you were meant to live. I want you to imagine the version of you that didn't quit, the version that kept going, the version that showed up even when nobody clapped, the version that loved themselves enough to try again. That version is already in you. And I believe when you rise, you give permission to others to rise too. When you choose faith over fear, action over apathy, purpose over pity, you become a light. And let me tell you, the world needs your light. So I leave you with this. Let today be the day you stop doubting and start doing. Let today be the day you stop shrinking and start shining. Let today be the day you remember who you are. You are powerful. You are resilient. You are unstoppable. You were born to rise. So rise. Too many people walk through life dragging the weight of yesterday on their backs. They carry every mistake, every regret, every failure like a chain that defines who they are and who they can become. They rehearse the pain. They replay the losses. They live as prisoners of a story they've already survived. But the truth is, your past was never meant to be your prison. It was meant to be your professor. You weren't meant to be shackled by what happened. You were meant to be shaped by it. We all have chapters we don't read out loud. We all have memories that sting, decisions we wish we could erase, roads we wish we never walked down. But if you're honest with yourself, you'll realize those were the very moments that taught you the most. That heartbreak taught you how to love with wisdom. That failure taught you how to rise with humility. That betrayal taught you how to protect your peace. The pain pushed you. The struggle shaped you. And the lessons made you. You see, growth is not born in the light of comfort. It's born in the dark of discomfort, disappointment, and adversity. That's where resilience is formed. That's where character is forged. And if you never stumble, you'd never learn how to stand taller. If you never got knocked down, you'd never understand the power of rising up. Every scar has a story, and every story has strength buried inside it. But here's the problem. We confuse where we've been with who we are. You might have failed, but you are not a failure. You might have been broken, but you are not brokenness. You might have been lost, but you are not hopeless. You are not your mistakes. You are not your worst day. You are not the names people called you when they couldn't see your worth. You are not the limitations others placed on you or the ones you placed on yourself. What happened to you is not greater than what lives within you. You have the right to outgrow your history. You have the right to evolve beyond your past. That means you can rewrite the narrative. You can stop telling yourself that just because you came from pain, you're destined to repeat it. You can stop believing the lie that your future is nothing but an echo of your yesterdays. That's not truth. That's fear dressed as memory. Too many people keep reliving the same hurt, the same regret, the same guilt, as if they have to serve a lifelong sentence for the mistakes they made or the things they suffered. But redemption is real. Change is real. And the moment you decide to stop running from your past and start learning from it, that's the moment you take your power back. You have a choice. You can keep dragging yesterday into tomorrow, or you can stand tall and say, that was a chapter, not the whole book. The world may try to define you by what you've done or what's been done to you, but you don't have to accept that definition, because even if you've been through hell, even if you've made every mistake in the book, you can rise. Not because you're perfect, but because you're willing to learn, because you're willing to grow, because you're ready to stop surviving your story and start owning it. Too many of us are waiting for someone to validate our voice, waiting for someone to give us a title before we act like a leader, waiting for applause before we take the stage, waiting for approval before we trust our own strength. But the truth is, the world will rarely hand you a crown. If you're waiting for someone to give you the green light to step into your greatness, you'll be standing at that light. For power isn't something that's handed to you. It's something you decide to claim. It's a mindset, a commitment, a declaration that you will no longer play small to keep others comfortable. The problem is we've been conditioned to ask for permission. From a young age, we're taught to raise our hands, to wait our turn, to stay in line. And somewhere along the way, we start believing that applies to our dreams too. We believe we need to be chosen, but you don't have to be chosen to be worthy. You don't need a license to be bold. You don't need a certificate to be confident. Power isn't about status, it's about self-belief. And the moment you give yourself permission to rise, the game changes. See, most people don't fear failure, they fear judgment. They fear being too much, too loud, too ambitious, too different. So they shrink. They play the background. They dim their light, hoping to fit into places they've outgrown. But when you spend your life trying to earn acceptance, you end up living a version of yourself that's edited, filtered, and watered down. And no dream was ever built on watered down passion. There will always be people who don't see your vision, people who can't handle your fire, people who will try to box you in because they never broke out. But their fear is not your responsibility. Their limitations are not your reality. You don't need to explain your power to people who never had the courage to discover their own. The most dangerous thing you can do is wait for permission in a world that's built to distract you from your potential. If you want to do something extraordinary, you have to stop asking, am I ready? And start declaring, I'm willing. Willing to try, willing to fail, willing to be misunderstood. Because greatness is never granted by popular vote. It's claimed through consistent action and unapologetic belief. Power doesn't look like perfection. It looks like showing up. It looks like trusting your intuition when everyone else says you're crazy. It looks like betting on yourself even when you don't have all the answers. It looks like speaking up in rooms that never wanted to hear your voice and speaking anyway. It looks like building the table when you're not invited to the one that already exists. You have to stop waiting for someone else to tell you that you're enough. You already are. You don't need another credential to be valuable. You don't need another nod of approval to be credible. You don't need the stars to align before you start moving. You are the star, and it's your job to shine. The moment you understand that your worth isn't assigned, it's owned, you begin to walk differently. You start carrying yourself like someone who doesn't need to beg for opportunities because you create them. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop shrinking in rooms that need your presence. You stop asking for a seat and start building the whole room from the ground up. Your voice matters. Your vision matters. Your presence matters. And no one else gets to decide that for you. You were not born to be hidden, silenced, or sidelined. You were born to lead, to impact, to ignite something in this world. Not later, now, not when it's convenient, when it's necessary, not when everyone agrees, when you know it's time. When life knocks you down, and it will, it's easy to think that the fall is final. It's easy to believe that the doors closing around you mean you're finished, that the failure you just experienced is a reflection of your worth or your destiny. But a setback isn't the end of your story. It's a pause, a redirection, a necessary detour that's preparing you for something bigger, than what you expected. The greatest triumphs in life don't come in spite of setbacks. They come because of them. There's something powerful that happens when you fall and realize that you're still breathing, still standing, still fighting. It changes you. It teaches you what resilience feels like. It forces you to discover a part of yourself you didn't know existed. When things are easy, you don't grow. You coast. But when you hit a wall, when you hit bottom, when everything seems to crumble, that's when the real work begins. That's where your character's built. That's where your faith is tested. That's where your comeback begins. You don't become strong by avoiding struggle. You become strong by surviving it. Every person who's ever done something meaningful has been through setbacks that look like dead ends. They've faced rejection, loss, humiliation, and doubt. But the difference between those who stay down and those who rise again isn't talent or luck. It's mindset. It's the decision to turn pain into power, to see failure as feedback, to refuse to let one chapter define the whole book. Sometimes life closes a door, not to punish you, but to protect you, to push you toward the path you were meant for. That job you didn't get, that relationship that fell apart, that plan that failed. What if those weren't curses, but blessings disguised as disappointment? What if every setback you face has been setting the stage for your next breakthrough? Comebacks don't happen in comfort. They're built in the quiet moments when no one is watching. When you're picking up the pieces, when you're questioning everything, when you're tempted to give up, but choose to take one more step anyway. That step right there is what separates those who rise from those who retreat. It's not about how fast you get back up. It's about choosing to get back up over and over until you regain your rhythm. Your comeback starts the moment you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? That shift in perspective is everything. Because you can't change the fact that life hit you, but you can change what you do next. You can let the hit define you, or you can let it refine you. You can let it harden your heart, or you can let it sharpen your vision. And don't forget, the most powerful comebacks are not always loud. They don't always come with fireworks or fanfare. Sometimes they're quiet, steady, built on discipline and daily choices. Sometimes it's just showing up for yourself when everything in you wants to quit. Sometimes it's looking in the mirror and deciding that the story isn't over, not yet. Setbacks have a way of revealing your hunger. They strip away the surface and expose what you really want. They test your commitment, your patience, your grit. And if you can face a setback without losing your identity, if you can endure the storm and still hold on to your vision, you'll come back stronger, wiser. A comeback isn't just about winning. It's about transforming. It's about proving to yourself that you are bigger than your biggest failure, that you have more inside you than what's already behind you. It's about stepping into a new version of yourself, not in spite of the setback, but because of it. Growth doesn't happen when everything is easy, predictable, and safe. Growth happens when you're uncomfortable, stretched, challenged, and uncertain. The very nature of growth requires you to leave something behind, an old mindset, a familiar environment, a limiting belief, and step into the unknown. But too many people get trapped in comfort zones. They choose ease over elevation, familiarity over freedom, security over significance. And what they don't realize is that the comfort zone might feel safe, but it's slowly suffocating their potential. It's not that people don't want to grow, it's that they don't want to feel the pain that comes with growth, because growth hurts. It requires risk. It forces you to confront your fears, your insecurities, your weaknesses. It strips away your excuses and leaves you exposed to the truth of who you are and who you could be if you stopped holding back. But staying comfortable won't protect you from pain. It just guarantees a different kind of pain. The pain of regret, the pain of knowing you settled, the pain of never finding out what you were truly capable of. Comfort whispers, stay where it's safe. Growth demands, go where it's unknown. Comfort says, don't risk it. Growth says, it's worth the risk. Comfort tells you, you've done enough. Growth reminds you, there's more in you. And if you listen to comfort too long, you start to shrink. You stop dreaming big. You stop stretching. You stop believing in what's possible. You start building a life around fear instead of around purpose. Every breakthrough is born in discomfort. Every success story starts with someone who is willing to be uncomfortable. The athlete pushing through exhaustion, the entrepreneur risking failure, the student wrestling with doubt, the speaker standing on a stage with shaking hands. No one becomes great by staying comfortable. Greatness is a product of pressure, persistence, and the willingness to step into spaces that stretch you beyond your limits. There's a moment in every journey where you have to choose, stay safe or take the leap. You might not feel ready. You might not feel confident. But if you only move when it's easy, you'll never move when it's anything extraordinary. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's where the growth is. That's where the transformation begins. That's where you start to build the strength, the courage, the resilience that comfort could never give you. Comfort tricks you into thinking time is on your side. It tells you there's always tomorrow, always later, always someday. But growth knows the clock is ticking. It knows that every day you delay, you're missing out on who you could be. And it's not just about your goals. It's about your life, your relationships, your purpose, your legacy. None of those things flourish in stagnation. They require movement, momentum, and challenge. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they avoid discomfort. They avoid the awkward conversations, the lonely nights, the extra hours, the painful self-reflection. But everything you want is on the other side of that discomfort. Your next level won't come wrapped in convenience. It's going to demand more of you, more discipline, more focus, more courage. And the sooner you stop running from that, the faster you grow into the person you were meant to become. It's not that you're not capable, it's that you've gotten comfortable. And comfort has a way of making you forget how powerful you really are. But deep down, you know there's more. You feel it, that restless energy, that quiet voice calling you higher, that frustration that comes not from lack, but from potential left untapped. You were never meant to stay the same. You were built to evolve, built to rise, built to face the fire and come out stronger.